Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now, a weekly forecast program with astrology and other ways to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and I invite you to find out more about my work at insightoasis.com. I look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends, and here we go. In the waning moon cycle now, before we get to next week when the new moon will happen at the end of the week, right before the winter solstice. So this particular week, the week of December 8th, and I'm smiling because December 8th was the birthday of my dear ex-father-in-law, who I adored. So tipping my hat to you, Alex. And as I look at this day, what I'm seeing is the moon is in the sign of Leo. So here we are in the waning moon cycle. The moon is in the sign of Leo, and it is engaging. It is engaging us to take action. Mars is in the sign of Sagittarius, a fire sign. There's a lot of activity that kind of stokes energy to have us want to do things, have conversations, make things happen, draw attention to ideas, depending on how comfortable you are with fire or perhaps air energy will show a lot of what gets triggered or ignited over the next couple of days. One thing that's really critical to consider is that as the moon travels over the next couple of days, we are going to be engaged with a lot of thoughts, ideas, stimuli. There may be a snag in the road for some of us. There's a picture in the sky on Monday between Mars and Saturn. And these two planetary energies signify different things. Mars is about desire. It doesn't like things in its way. It wants to be direct, express libido energy. As Saturn is methodical, it's measured, it can be fearful or very, very precise about how something must be done. The combination of these two planets together natally, depending on how it's aspected, in this case in the sky, they're at 90-degree angles. So what that's showing is a push-pull, a no, do it this way, no, do it that way. And the thing about this square energy, which is what 90 degrees is that it's really asking for balance. Think about a right angle, which is exactly what 90 degrees is showing us. And right angles, if you've ever done anything architectural or in carpentry or artistic, a right angle is a very strong position. It holds things in place, and depending on how it's buttressed or the materials used, there's a lot of sturdiness to it. So when you've got two planets that are, well, in a way of equal strength here, it's one is not really dominating the other. At times one may, and that's the trick about working with challenging aspects or what we call hard aspects. You can let one energy be dominant over the other, but then you're not taking into account the lessons, information, what is coming to you from the other energy. So in the case of Mars, we want to move, we want to take action, and that Leo moon is really going to be passionate and exuberant and wanting to express. But Saturn is asking, does it hold does it have the quality to the desire that's going to hold interest or make the thing last? Now, interestingly, Saturn is in Pisces at this point. It will be changing sign, and it is in this retrograde place with Pisces that is just really kind of going over with this. It's like a dull hammer, Saturn and Pisces. It keeps just methodically pounding the water drip torture. Just no, you've got to do it this way, and it can erode passion. So the question here is, how do you launch? How do you move with the momentum and yet answer to the fact that, okay, if there's a drip, we have to fix it. We have to make sure that we're delivering this with integrity and strength, or it's all going to erode, fall apart. So in this waning moon energy, there is a desire to finish up, make things happen. Let's get ready for the next stage. But the caution over Monday, Tuesday is to make sure that if you are finishing something up, wanting to deliver something, making it happen, launching it, that you really have paid attention to the details, to the piece that holds it in a way that it's going to go off as planned. And when we really can feel the results of that, if we didn't follow through with it, or let's say perhaps we did, what happens as we get into Tuesday is by late evening, there could be a sense of buyer's remorse if we move too quickly into something that now, boom, there's a new idea or a new option or a tangent that can take us in a different direction. If we had gone through things in a more methodical way and left wiggle room for if another option came in, or if basically the best thing to do is to abort and move into something else, then we have that leverage ability to transfer with grace as we get into Tuesday evening and the next day. But I guess the overall thought here is Monday, Tuesday, think in terms of what is the end goal? Are you going to deliver that end goal with a sense of accomplishment, or do you just want to race it off your desk? And in certain cases, it is totally appropriate to just move on. Only you can know what is the best course with certain things. Are they holding you back, or are you trying to push it out sooner than is really going to be to your best benefit? And here's where the switch comes. Okay, so the moon goes void, of course, 11:56 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday the 9th. And then it enters the sign of Virgo at 2:20 a.m. on Wednesday the 10th. Now, the other thing that occurs on Wednesday the 10th is that Neptune goes direct. And when Neptune goes direct, and this is the planet that has, depending on your astrological celestial DNA, if you will, or how you like to do life, Neptune energy can feel very, very safe and comforting, or it can feel confusing and off-putting and too nebulous to pin down. We all have different comfort zones, and some of us may move through them at different points in time. even on a daily basis. So, okay, now I'm in this place where I want to be very quiet and Neptunian and meditate and space out. And now I am, running in a way that is very electric and movement oriented. Totally depends on the personal makeup and how this moves. In the end, the all the planets, signs, these pieces all represent parts of the human psyche. And the ideal is to get comfortable or understand how you do these different points of life, reactions, expression, whatever it is that makes you you. If we deny or dodge certain ways of being, then we're not really striving to understand what that piece is about. So, for example, on this day when Neptune's going direct in the sign of Pisces, this is its last thrust as it moves into Aries in late January. Part of the overall shift that we've been seeing in 2025 is these outer planets have been moving from yin energy, if you will, earth and water, into fire and air. And we've had flirting with it throughout the year with a lot of up and down and who's going where and where's Waldo and all this kind of not really knowing where the world is spinning or who's in charge really. And when we get into 2026, these outer planets move more firmly into air and fire, yang energy. And so there'll be a lot more full speed ahead than we've been really even witnessing now. And so the question is, how are we moving with whatever we've learned with Neptune and Pisces over the past period of time, moving into Neptune as it goes into Aries, which is very much more directed about where are we taking the spiritual, the creative, the other thing that Neptune symbolizes is drugs and escapism and victimization and slavery and disenfranchised. And in Pisces, I feel like all of this has ballooned so greatly. And part of what I feel we've been witnessing and seeing, whether we want to or not, is the amount of disadvantaged people, animals, nature on the planet, in contrast to the very slim advantaged, the people who are gaining. And so that disparity with this illusion energy of Neptune as it's been in water sign, Pisces water sign, as it moves into Aries will become a lot more, are we going to do anything about it? What are we going to do? How is it going to happen? So it'll be interesting how that all moves in 2026. But on the 10th, when Neptune is going direct, I suspect, not necessarily on this day, but I suspect over the next few days, a couple of weeks, we will see this kind of shift energy that's occurring as what's been in so many illusions and fantasies and shell games and things that have been hard to see and obfuscated. Clarity has also been coming through. The positive of this period, of course, is so much more accessibility to raising consciousness, but with consciousness awareness, of course, also comes a lot of reckoning. And I think that's why I was having a conversation with a Mexican physician the other day when I was having some elective surgery I needed to be done. And he, of all things, he was the anesthesiologist and he's a runner. And he had just been up to New York City, which is one of my favorite places and where had lived a long time. And he said that one of his dreams was to run in Central Park as a marathoner. And so he did run, and he said, it's just such a beautiful, amazing, unbelievable city, but the smell of marijuana is everywhere. And I know that this has been Neptune and Pisces, and this whole eruption of freedom, if you will, or the miasma of, okay, now this is all, quote, legal or available. And it seems as though this message that's coming through at the same time that the government is having a war on drug dealers. Obviously, marijuana has had a new classification, but there's a disparity here, which I think is part of the end of Neptune in Pisces, which has been about, let's just soften it, numb it, quiet it, self-medicate it, and we'll be moving into new directions with it. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but I do get the sense that this, having lived in the city of New York for a long time, I know that it's always shifting. And so this has been a shift that I imagine will shift again as Neptune goes through Aries. How? We'll see. But overall, on this day, the 10th, as Neptune's going direct, pay attention over the next days, weeks, not necessarily just about drugs, pharmaceuticals. We're also talking about oil industry, anything liquid. Of course, water is our greatest commodity, whether we're paying attention to that or not. Having read that, I think it's in Tucson, they voted against this big corporate plant, I think it was Amazon, in the desert, and they're building it anyway. Well, of course, as we know, computers, one thing they absolutely need is cooling systems, which is water. And of course, if you've got human beings living in the desert who are dependent on water, and then you're building these industries that are sucking water away, these are big questions as Neptune continues to move and spin in the sky from our direction and what we're seeing. But on Wednesday, when the moon moves into Virgo, I imagine dialogues of service and victimization, or who the winners are, money, liquidity. All these things are going to be very prevalent on Wednesday, Thursday, into Friday. And so what does that mean for us personally? Well, personally, we want to look at personal investments, what are perhaps how we're spending our money, and is it in ways, because Neptune is, among other things, also about what our commitment is in ways to how we believe we want to make things happen in in a great investment capacity. So it's not really as mundane as money, but it's very much about big picture investments. What it is your high beliefs are invested in. So there can be contemplation about this or challenges over these couple of days, but I think Wednesday is a excellent day to measure, how things are going with where you're aiming, what you're aiming to make happen financially, to really look at that in a way that also has to do with uh, wishes, expectations, but realistic goals and thinking about day to day day-to-day pleasures, activities, investments in body, in health, in self, in relationship. All these things get measured in ways that are more valued when we pay attention to, is this how I want to spend my day, my time, my money, my love? And when Thursday happens, Thursday is bringing us a lot of potential opportunity. So pay attention to how that may come in, and opportunities can come in different ways. They can be direct with here's a opportunity to change a job, go to school, uh, take a course, do something that stretches you in some way, or it's an opportunity, an invitation. Come here. We're also, of course, entering the high holiday season. So it can be through that, through someone you meet or conversation you have. And so it's really valuable to pay attention to small details, things that are said, steers that are given, jot them down and act on them. One thing that I think is really valuable and I'm speaking to anyone who may have a habit of delaying or getting around to something eventually. One thing that can be really helpful is, let's say you're having a conversation and somebody says, oh, yeah, so and so, I think there's a job opportunity over there, or you should talk to my friend Sal about blah, blah, blah. Put it in your phone, not just you're having that conversation on the 11th, but give yourself a follow-up date uh, next week, or a time when the new moon happens the 19th. So perhaps after that, just a holiday greetings. Let me check in with you. I'd love to check in with you in early 2026. The point is, you want to create yes, we're in the waning moon cycle, but part of being in the waning moon cycle is you're putting things in place for where you're going to take action when we're in the next lunar cycle. And it doesn't mean you can't shake hands, make an appointment, and follow up on something this week or next week. But it does mean that you don't want to be sidelined, to delay it so far in the distance that you're not taking advantage of the opportunity when it's being presented to you. So into the 12th as well, lovely time for that kind of activity. The moon goes void, of course, at 9:51 a.m. and enters Libra at 11:04 a.m. And once we're in the Libra moon energy, now we're in a really kind of fun weekend period for that kind of holiday activity, or just having some chill time, talking to people, doing things that are fun, cultural activities, listening to music. Very inspirational, I think, on when I look mid-afternoon on Friday, looks like a supercharged period for just conversations or inspirations that can light up a power source. So it's almost like, of course, all the lights and everything will be on then, I would guess. I mean, we're almost mid-December when I'm looking at these dates, but on the 12th, it's like mid-afternoon, somebody plugs something in and it's all lit up. And so that's a metaphor for also an idea or a connection or something that's just a really good power source that has to do with relationships and how we make connections that grow into something bigger than we can do alone. And Saturday the 13th has that kind of shine about it as well. On Sunday the 14th, my calendar says Hanukkah begins at sundown. So blessings to those who start to mark that time. And I see that basically this day is just a really super day for having fun, socializing, adventures, connections, all that back and forth sweetness that is one of the ideals of the holiday season. And I'll talk about this briefly now. I will be talking about it more next week. I know for many people, including myself, the holidays they're a bittersweet time. And sometimes people can be having a really bummer holiday. Sometimes people have an over the top wonderful holiday. It is a time of, well, think about it again, just the reality of the extreme dark and light. And so when we're in a period of extreme dark and light, regardless of which hemisphere you're on, in the northern hemisphere, we're heading towards the winter solstice, and the reverse in the southern hemisphere. But we're in these extreme periods of intensity with darkness and or with light. And so it tends to bring extreme emotion as well for many people. And what I think is really valuable and looks to me very rich on a day like Sunday the 14th is it can be a really sweet and healing day to reach out to people you don't get to connect with much, people you connect with all the time who you love. If you're alone and you want to be alone or feeling just very cut off, then do things that are gentle for yourself, things that restore your sense of chi, of energy. What are the things that basically help you feel that sense of being warmed by the fire? And that is a lovely focus to have on a day like the 14th. The moon goes void, of course, at 10:36 p.m. And shortly after, it enters the sign of Scorpio at 10:51 p.m. And so, again, if the holidays bring up bittersweet time for you, if you're in the process of healing from something, mourning something, grief, whatever the high intensity emotion is, cherish the humanness of it. give light to that sense of this is an important piece of who you are emotionally. But do your best to love yourself, the things around you that give you that sense of energy, light, and connectivity. And you will find that power source. You have been listening to Astrology Insight Now. Please share with your friends. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so at astrologyinsightnow.com. Have a stellar week, and we hope to see you next time.